In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 basic string operations in Java, and they're very similar to what you've already learned in JavaScript. The first one I'm going to talk about is just concatenation. Now, concatenation is just combining strings into make a longer string. So here I have declared a string called first name, one called last name. First name is Walter, last name is Mellon. It's Walter Mellon. Yeah. All right. And then I have another string called full name, which is the result of concatenating the first name and the last name. I'm just plussing them together. And so here I'll write out the full name. And oh, I guess I already did it. But if I compile the thing and I shall rerun it, and there you can see that it writes out Walter Mellon. Here's a second example of concatenation. This time I'm just showing you that I can make an integer called number and a string called street name. And I concatenate together, I can concatenate together a number with a string. And actually, so here I'm concatenating the number 5 with a blank space with the street name, which is Oak, and then the word street. So when I compile and run this guy, void main, you can see that works fine. I've actually concatenated a number with a string, and it actually and it makes a string. So just to be clear, when you stick together numbers and strings and you declare the final thing, in this case address, to be a string, the entire thing becomes a string. So 5 Oak Street is my new string concatenated together. Now let's look at the length and substring operations. The length just tells you how many characters are in a string, and substring will return part of a string. So let's take a look at length first. So here I have a name, Barbara Dwyer, and I'm declaring a variable called len, an integer variable called len, and it is the length of name. So name.length, and notice I need to have parentheses here. This is a method call, more about that later, but name.length will just count the number of characters here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 characters in the name. It counted the blank space. And so when I print out len, it tells me 13. And here I've run it already on the side, and you can see that it told me 13 characters. So len tells you how many characters in a string. Substring will return part of a string. So here I have another string called part, and I'm setting it to name.substring 8. So 8, if I only pass one number to substring, it tells me the starting position. Now this is a little confusing to students because the positions begin at 0. So B is actually position 0. So let's go through and see where position 8 is. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Position 8 is D in the last name Dwyer, and it'll give me everything from that position to the end. So substring 8 should give me the last name Dwyer when I print it out, and in fact it does. And let's look at this very last example here. I'm using substring twice. Excuse me, I'm using substring from 0 to 4, and I'm concatenating that with substring 7 to 13. So 0 to 4, of course, starts at position 0, goes up to, but not including, do you remember this from JavaScript? The first number tells you where to start from. The second number tells you go up to, but not including that position. So 0 to 4 gives me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Should give me Barb. Doesn't give me the A here. And then from 7 to 13, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is a blank space. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is the last character, but I want to include the last character, so I'm going to go one past it, if that makes sense, because it gives me everything from 7 up to but not including 13. 13 is actually one past the end of the string, and then when I write out when I print the short name here, it tells me Barb Dwyer. Barb Dwyer. It's like barbed wire, sort of. All right. Now, actually, you know, I didn't even have to put this 13 here because it'll give me from 7 to the end. Now, if I compile and rerun this thing, you can see that it still works fine from 7 to 13. Actually, if I go too far, let's say I make this 14, that's going to give me an error there, because now I'm trying to get a character past the end of the string, and I'll run this and you'll see I'll get an error there. Yes, it tells me that I'm out of bounds. I have a string out of bounds exception. So you're allowed to put one position past the end, because remember how substring works. It gives you from the starting position up to but not including that last number. All right, let's look at to uppercase and to lowercase. We're almost done. The string operations to uppercase and to lowercase work exactly the same way as they do in JavaScript. So here I have a string called another name, which is karaoke, and I've defined a string called caps, which is another name dot to uppercase. And again, pay attention to the syntax here. You need this little set of parentheses, even though there's nothing in it. So caps is another name dot to uppercase, which is obviously going to uppercase all of the characters. And so when I print out caps, you can see on the right, it printed out karaoke all in capitals. And I can do the same thing with lowercase. I can say another name dot to lowercase and then print out lower. So I have my string called lower, which has been set to another name lowercase. And on the right, you can see it's lowercase. So that's it. There's going to be more string operations that you need to know about, a few more. But just for starters, you need to know what concatenation is, sticking together strings. You need to know about the length. That, of course, tells you how many characters. And you need to know substring. Remember, there's two versions of substring. One of them you can just specify starting location. One of them you can do a starting and ending location. And it goes up to but not including the ending location. And then you should know about to uppercase and to lowercase.